Uh, Hi, this is the video about how to process with forms, how to, this is continuation of previous topic, how to use Express.js and Node.js. Uh, let's see. Okay, so let's create the very easiest, the very simplest program. So this is like, okay, I take this part. We have to use this one, express, require express. If it doesn't work, you should remember that you should write npm install express. Also we will need body parser. Okay, and we should write something like this: up get, no, get, and also we have to do what, const up express. So we have these two lines, and here we write the URL, like for example here, and then we have to do, or we can write it like this: request response, and then here I will write response sent. I can write here strong hello world strong. So this is the very simplest work. As you remember, we have to do how to node server 2.js. Okay, so it has an error, missing an after argument. Okay, and okay. So actually we can do like this. So this is part function, and but you can also do something like this. It will be same. It will be like, you don't need to write function every time. You can do it with this arrow function. Here it's called arrow function because it contains arrow. And I press here not server 2. Okay, sorry, and I have to do something like this. Up listen to up listen. Okay, so now it listens to all requests. This is like some message that it says that it is working. It says hello world. So let's again, in last lecture I showed it to you. So this part is up listen, is that it will listen to all requests, so it will work every time. So anytime you request it, it will answer. And this part up get, so it means that when you write to root folder, so when you don't ask anything different from this, it will run this function hello world. Also we can write hello here, for example. Okay, make it app get hello. Well, let's write Salim rec res. And here we can write Salam Alem. So what does it mean? So if you request without anything or root folder, it will write hello world. But if you write Salam, it will write Salam Alem. But also, as you remember, you should do like, you should stop previous program and run again node server 2.js. And here I can write Salam. And now it writes Salam Alem. And we have the result working here. Now, okay, let's continue. So after that we have, so like same here, carry params name. Also there is something like this. You can write the some request here. For example, you can say name Mike, and you can access it by using this request params request query and name. query name, and we can say let name equal to request query name, and here I can write Salem Alem plus name. Again we stop and run it. Salem Alem Mike, and you see here this part, so you can it takes from query name, query is here, you can write it with question mark, and also you can add much more symbols like surname, Mike son, and also you can access it by using this plus empty string plus plus surname request query surname. Okay, again hello set Salem Alem Mike and Mikeson. So this is this part about how to use queries. This is called query, and we have these get requests. Also, as you see, we have here some get word. It's not like any word, random word, but it is method name of method. So actually in HTTP there are two requests, get and post. Get is written here and post is not written. So let me show it with an example. So for example, on this page I want to make it like, let's say let template. For example, I want to show some HTML or some buttons. For example, input type name, I called it template. So what does it mean? So I open the root page, the root folder. Okay, and so this is the input type field. As you remember, we had also select button and many different buttons. And one of these, so for example, I want to make two buttons A and B, and when you press them, it must output some result. So it's very simplest calculator. Also here, it is better to write this HTML code. You can write HTML code actually in different files like template, special template processing mechanisms, but in this case we'll use it directly in JavaScript, but it's not its best case, but it is better to use this symbol. It is located in yo, in Russian yo, like below escape. So these quotes, they allow you to write HTML in many lines, so it will not, you can store the, like, you can write HTML here, and also you can insert some variables. Okay, input type not name, but it was text, input type text. Okay, first of all I stop it. Okay, so this is two boxes, and I want to do and I want to enter some number, for example, and I want to add some button here. Input type submit is like button, but it is button with some special case. When you press it, it sends data from these inputs to the folder, to other. It takes data and sends it to other page. So let's see how does it look like. Okay, so it is on the submit button. Now I want to do something like this. I add here some form action and I close the form. So what we have this form. When I press submit button, this one, it takes data from here and send to other page, and we can access them. So let's write here. So first of all, we must write name because it's important. And for example, let's say this will be capital A and this also name capital B. And I want to do this one form action. Here you write that if I have, for example, form action will be, we can write URL, so I can write check sum, and here I can write method. Method can be two, or get or post. So let's start with get. Let me show how does it look like on the web page. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, so it has form, action sum, method get, input type text, name A, input type text B. And I want to, on that page, it must show two of them. So for example, here I write something like this. Here I write app get. Okay, so it will be like sum, and same again, request response. Okay, we don't need a template, so here I can access them, request query. Okay, so let's see how does it work. So I must send something, data. Okay, here I write 5, 4, 3. Okay, it shows me data. So you look at this part, sum question mark A equal to 5, B equal to 3. And as you see, which data we wrote and names, it has name and it has values. So this is actually how get request works. Get request takes the data and puts it into this query. So what does it mean? So okay, in this case, let us output the result. So we can. It is very easy. Like we can take previous example. We can say request query. It was A plus request query B. So it is like in this example. You take A and B from that. Okay, do not forget to run it. 53, why 53? Because they are strings. By default they are considered strings. So if you remember from previous examples, it is like this. You can do it like this: parse int, parse int. Invalid status code. Okay, so it considers that I am sending some some code, but it's not code, and we should do it like this: string value of. So it thinks that it is sending some code, and for code it works differently, but in this case, okay. Okay, string value of. Okay, so there is some error. Okay, let's make it something like this. Okay, let's see how does it work. And I'm okay, so actually it works. Maybe it needed some extra data. So string value of didn't work, but you can do it like this. So it shows the result. It takes request query A, request query B, and it outputs the result. So this was about method get, but we have already said that there is a method which is called post. What is the difference, you can ask, and let's see. I stop again and start it, and now let's go back. I write 5 and 3, press submit. Okay, first of all, there is some error, but do not look at the error now, but look at this URL. If you remember from get, it was something like this. They were shown in URL part, but now post is not shown in URL. It is not saved to your history. So this is the main point, and it's not shown in the header. So actually it's like so for example, sometimes you need something like this. You need login and password. If you have get request, it will be shown in your URL, and it will be saved actually in history, so it will be a problem. So because of this, if you are sending passwords, mostly they ask you to send it by get request, not by post. It is suggested to use post request, not get, because post can be like they can be it will not be stored in history, and it will not be seen here in browser, so it would be better to use post. Okay, so let's see about an error. It says cannot post some. It means that it cannot find this post request. So if you remember, we have here get some, so I can change it to post. Okay, it says none. Why it is none? So it doesn't, it request query doesn't have A, and request query B doesn't have any number, but they are stored actually. How can we see this? We can go to the network tab, and here we have some. The very first one, I press it, and I see this one, headers. In headers, actually it shows the sent data, so A and B are actually here. So you can say that getting parameters from post request, which is we are using, is harder than get requests, but I will show you and you can use it. So to work with this data, you will need to install this body parser library. Body parser is to work with this post data, because without it, it will be problematic, but with this it will be. But you will have to use this codes. Okay, I press it. You will need body parser JSON static with actually it's from previous, so you will also need something like this, app use URL encoded. Okay, and okay, and also here you will need request query request param. Okay, request body parser. Okay, so to work with post request, you should install body parser, and then you can use it here. Salem. Okay, let's remove this Salem. So you will use it here. Instead of request query, you will use body. And okay, body A and body B. Okay, again it shows 8. So what we have changed, we have we see there is two methods of sending data from one page to other. First is get and second is post. Difference between them is that get sends data by using URL, so it is shown in URL, and post is sent like with the request. So you press the form button and it sends with that request. So as I said, when you use post, when you use get, actually you can use get when it is like should be address of some resource. So for example, you know that by using this request it will always show the same result, and it can be stored in URL so that person can open it. So actually get is made for some requests. When sorry, get is done for some things that are always on this address, and when you want to get. Post is when you want to send something to them. So for example, you send some new information, or you upload some image, or you do something like this. So you actually post, you are uploading. Get is when you're downloading something. So this is the main difference. And of course you should not use password with get request, because it will be stored in browser and it will also be seen on the page. And also for get request is limited to the size of this browser URL, so it is not much more than 1000 symbols. So for example, if you write the big text, it would not be sent by get request. And for using in Express.js post request, you should use this one, Express body parser, and then you write these codes so it will work properly. Okay, so this is in this example, in this slide, it shows how to work without this library, body parser. Actually, you don't have to remember it because it's very cumbersome. It has to chunk them, so it takes data and add them, and then at the end it parses and then shows the result. So it is easier to like small projects like ours to do it in this case. Body parser. So also as all libraries in Node.js, you should install it. Maybe at some time it was installed before because of you installed the other library which used body parser, so you will not need to install body parser. Okay, so instead of this code, you write this code. Okay, post message body. So we will not see this. So actually, get request for retrieving data, not writing data. Post request for writing data, not retrieving. You can also use much more specific HTTP methods. Also, at the time we will not use this one, but there is patch, delete, and other methods that can be used, but they do not differ from post much more. from your perspective of view. Route parameters. Also, there is such thing as package.json. So, for example, you do not want every time to install all of the libraries. So, for example, you started your project and you send it to other computer, and you will have to do right. You will enter command line right npm install this library, npm install this library. So instead of writing npm install, so in some projects there may be like tens of or hundreds of different libraries. Instead of this, you can create package.json, and in package.json you will write the like this. So it can be auto generated. You can write, I need dependencies, I need body parser with version starting from 1.17.1 and Express 4.15.2, and you write npm install, and it will download it by itself. So it will do many tasks by itself. Also, we can do something like this. You have three ways. So first way is writing these codes, npm install express, npm install body parser. Also, you can write it into package.json, like create package.json and write inside of it dependencies by hand every time. Or you can do something like this, npm install safe. So it will write into dependencies package.json folder by itself. So it is like much better way. So you created the package.json, and in the middle you understood that you need some libraries. So you can write save, and it will install it and also immediately write it into dependencies. Also, it says that if you remove the node modules directory, so let me show it. So this is your folder, and also you see that one, node modules. You can actually delete it, and then if you have package.json and then you write npm install, it will download it by itself. Okay. Also, you can write scripts here in package.json. Hi, this is the continuing of 8th week as far as I remember, and now I want to show you about database, how we work with databases, okay, and MongoDB installation. Maybe we will come back to this part later. So we will see MongoDB. Actually, maybe not, some of you know MySQL or something like this. MySQL is the world's most used databases. It's a relational database, and now I will explain what is the difference between them. So actually, database definitions. So in any program, actually, you have databases. It's an organized collection of data. In our dictionary example, we use JSON file to store the dictionary information. By this definition, the JSON file can be considered a database. So actually, any data is which is stored in some file, in some format. Actually, even Excel file, it is database because it is collection of data. And database management systems is a software, the program which stores the data and helps you to work with this data. So this is the main point. So database is any file, any program with data, which stores the data. So Excel file is also data, is also database. But DBMS, database management system, is a special program that works with data. Examples: MongoDB, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and etc. Usually when people say database, they mean data that is managed through the DBMS. So MongoDB, a popular open source DBMS or document-oriented database, is opposite to relational database. So you can like consider two things: document-oriented and relational database. Two types of databases, but actually there are much more than these two. So this is the difference. Relational database has fixed schemas. Like it says that any user should have name, any user should have school, any user should have employer, any user should have occupation. Document-oriented database has flexible schemas, so they have different schemas. So you can create any different schema, and it is actually stored in JSON format. Oh, again, the difference is this. So if you want to know the pros and cons of these two databases, the pros, so advantages of relational database, it has schema, so it means that you don't need you create some schema, and you will be sure that your data is stored correctly. And so for example, you know that if you do something wrong, it will give you an error. If you, so for example, instead of school in code you use it something like, for example, you have name, but you in code you write surname or F name, first name, like something like this, it will show an error. So it will say there is no such tape column in it, employer, etc. So you will be sure that when you made an error. But in document-oriented DB, for example, if you, instead of name, someone wrote in code F name, it will not show an error. It will think that it is okay. And one more, but advantages of document-oriented database, that means if you have, for example, always changing database structures, you do not need to change the structure if you want to enter some new values to this point. By using this, you can understand that this is less, much flexible. So for example, in startups, they are making some changes, and they are making changes, and they make changes to structure many times. So by using this, you can understand that by using document-oriented database, you will not to change every time this structure of columns. So it is very not hard, but it takes some time, it takes some attention. So because of this, for example, if you have many changes, it's better to use document-oriented database. So MongoDB is another software program. As we remember, Node.js is some program which we start Node server JS, and it runs in the server. MongoDB is also same the program. It's some program which is working, and you interconnect with it your program. So for example, you send request to Node, and Node can work with MongoDB, and MongoDB can answer Node, and then it will work. And there is actually some part on hard drive which is data. So actually MongoDB goes to data and takes this data and sends you answer. So the data is actually, it's located on file, but MongoDB is better at working these files because it makes it easier to search it. Or it can be stored on other computers. So actually you can store data on other place. MongoDB will also work. So you will have to run two processes. MongoDB will run database server port. So if you remember port, on your one computer you do not want to mess talking of these computers. So you specify the port. You say that this port is for MongoDB, and others will not access it because it is only MongoDB's data. And okay, so it works like this. Node server.js, your file works, goes to MongoDB, and then it goes to data, and then receives data, and then it will go back. And this is concepts. Database is container of MongoDB collections. Collections like it's like one Excel sheet. So in one Excel sheet you have many rows. So these rows are, you can think as a document. So these rows, so Excel, you have one Excel file, for example, one sheet, and one sheet you have many rows. So actually collections is one sheet, and it is called collection, and document is this, what is it collected? It is collected of documents. And also it is in relational databases, for example in MySQL it is called table, and document is called row in relational database. MongoDB examples, collection card. So this is the, for the database e-cards, there is a collection and this is the data inside it. It will come. Okay, let's try to install MongoDB. Okay, maybe I have installed it. Okay, so I write it, I open new MongoDB. We have not okay, let's do it. So the apt-get install Mongo. Okay. So I'm installing it for Ubuntu because I have Ubuntu, and okay, it says official. In Windows, okay, so it needs some. Okay, and then I write sudo apt-get date. Okay, so okay. Okay, sorry. So okay, I'm continuing. So I skipped one step, which because of this skipping this step, it showed me an error. So I found out this errors, reason of this error, and let's see what does it work. Run MongoDB. Start MongoDB. Okay, so maybe most of you will not this part of, so you can skip later. Maybe you find the maybe already installed it, but let's see what does it do. Systemctl start Mongo. Yeah. Okay, so we can actually see what does it work or not. Systemctl status MongoDB. Okay, it's working. Okay, and I write Mongo. Okay, so this is the preset session. So I'm in Mongo, and what I do, MongoDB. MongoDB. Let's see what is the. Okay, MongoDB. It shows me some data automatic. So this is some data, or we can write Mongo. Mongo shell commands show databases. Okay, let's see Mongo show DBS. So this is the databases which we have, and we can enter any use database, show collections. So actually we need to create new database. Okay, so let me find how to create database. Mongo create database. Oh, okay, so actually we can say, for example, use as do. So this means that we created database as do. So this is which is current database to database name. It will be created if you created first one. So you can write show collections. Okay, we don't have collections. It is understandable. The back collection find query. Find one. We don't need one. So we can write something this debug collection. Insert one. So let's say we are creating some data and we will create students with, for example, name Jack, Mike. They are using one literal quote. Name Mike and surname Jackson. Okay, and then let's say age 20, but not. Okay, it says it's unknowledged, and actually we can see how it works. The back collection. So we can write find. So it finds all data. When you add new data, it gives some ID here. ID means that it has only one. So it is unique for this item. So for example, if you have two Mike Jacksons, it will they will be different. You can differentiate them by using this ID. Also, we can write something like this: the back collection find. Okay, we can also make something like this: insert one. Okay, and here write Bill Gates. Jeff Bezos, for example, 19. And let's write here Andrew and 22. Okay, so we can now like the bag collection find. So it shows all of these people. Now I do something like this, the bag collection find name, and we can, like, for example, I want to find all people with name Andrew. So it will find one item. So there are different commands. You will learn them. So delete one, delete many, drop means you delete all data from the database. Mongo shell, and now how to work with Node.js. So this is how your code will work. You start the code, and then it will go to Node, then it will go to MongoDB. Node goes to MongoDB. MongoDB takes data, and then it receives data. Then the result is going to Node, and then it will be outputted to your browser. To read and write you, so as usual you have to install it, MongoDB. So let's make it as an example, npm install save MongoDB. So this MongoDB installation is for installation, okay, as usual. This MongoDB installation is for Node. So when I install this, it makes Node to be ready to work with MongoDB. Okay, database collection documents, and let's see. So this is some code. Okay, and I write, okay, and I have to. So we have